good morning. Let me have a look. You see the top of my head. There we go. Right. One, two. All right. I'll let you know in a minute. Where do I start with that, Enzo? It's a bit of a mess, to say the least. Right. So yeah, she is okay. Right. So she fell off a scooter because in Newcastle we have these scooters that you can ride. Like just public thing. They're really good. But unfortunately she hit a pothole and fell off, not badly, but to the side and broke her knee, looks like in two places. So I went to see her in hospital and she'd actually had basically 4 pins in her leg, like this great big metal structure thing, and it like hammered pins right through her leg. So this is going to be a long haul. So she had that operation yesterday. In 10 days she's going to have another operation. So we're in it for the long haul. She starts a little bit of physio now just to get in a chair, but then they'll be taking it to operate again 10 days. Interesting thing about her though is she had the operation, and in about an hour after the operation of being conscious, she had laptop in hand and she was on writing her novel, and then she did some marking for uni. Incredible. So she's still running operations from the hospital bed. After work today, I went to Guitar Center in Orlando, Florida, and played some very interesting guitars. Oh, cool. Oh no, that's a long road, my friend. That's terrible. It is, yes, but it won't be too disruptive for either of us. She's had to cancel a few trips, though. Sadly. Right, that'll do. Yeah, I know how long the recovery takes with that kind of injury. Everything below the right knee has metal rods and pins. My right knee has, wow. So there you go, yeah. It's not ideal, is it, really? Let's face it. Cool. So we've got a few people on here. Who else is here? Do say hello in the chat. That's cool. So today it's more the music coaching kind of thing. Well, it is and it isn't, because we are doing environment, but we are looking at the digital environment, which is super, super exciting because we get to nerd out. So I've been building the almost Ableton only template, which is very, actually it's getting me quite excited. There's something very liberating about not using third-party plugins, and I'm already feeling very inspired by this and refreshed. So there was a number of Max for Live devices that I consider to be absolutely essential if you don't have access to lots of like third-party plugins. In fact, they're just really good anyway. They're probably as good, to be fair. And I think most of them, apart from one, are. In fact, the 5 of them are free. One of them's paid for. And I think you're going to find this really interesting. Yeah. So environment. We've got Enzo here. I don't know who else of our environment people do we have here. Those of you who have just come on here and going, what's he talking about? Environment. What we're talking about this. So every Monday, what I do is we're focusing on what I call conditions for success. These conditions are for sex. Conditions for success are for, oh, your wife's there too. Great. Right. I can't remember. Is she into music or not? Enzo, is she like you? Playing instruments. If not, conditions for success, you can apply to anything really. So it's all the skills that you need around the skill that you're trying to do, whether it's, trying to write lots of music, getting better at being a producer, or whether it's doing an instrument. Yeah. These are like the skills that you need dialed in. These are the skills, right, that people who I considered not to be great musicians, but then were very, very successful had, and I didn't have. So they are important. So environment. So we've got a number of I suppose we've got 3 environments. It's very Henry Lefebvre, who is has anybody here heard of Henry Lefebvre, the French philosopher? When I did my masters, I used his stuff to like inspire what I was doing with my sound art that I was doing at the time. But anyway, Henry Lefebvre, his notions of space are lived, perceived, and conceived. Right. So the lived space is the physical environment around us. The perceived space is all of the things that we build to reproduce in. So. Well, actually, the computer environment, your computer door environment would be that, but it's like city infrastructures and transport and stuff like that. And then we have the lived space. Oh, and the conceived space is the space. Hold on, I've messed this up. Lived, I can't remember, it's been a while. The perceived, conceived, and lived space. And then you have the lived space, which is the environment that you live in. It's a bit like that anyway, but the conceived space is the space in our head for thought and contemplation. It doesn't quite fit, but what does fit is the inner game of music, and where we have sort of the inner game, which is our thoughts and feelings about how we do and what we do, and then basically the outer game, which is everything else, and that's a lot easier to think about, isn't it, than Henry Lefebvre's notions of space. Nearly went off at a wrong tangent there, but you know what I mean. Yes, environment. So we're looking at all of the outer game stuff, basically, and that outer game today is our digital environment, because I'm hoping everybody's been tidying the studios and getting rid of all the stuff that they don't use. That does give you a cognitive load. Okay, it does kind of weigh heavy on your head and make you feel like you should be using these things, but you don't know how to use them, and it creates more decisions that you don't need to make that will eventually slow your process down. Anybody else here, do say hello in the chat. Is there any people interested in environment? Do say hello. I'll have my coffee. Anybody else who's on here and you like what sort of happens on this channel, do subscribe and hit the thumbs up, the like button as well, because that will help the channel overall, and that'll be amazing. And I'm always able to grow things, and things are going very, very well at the minute, we're approaching 4,000 hours, and then I've got all of my perks. We're approaching. So I think I'm something like 3,500 and something hours, which is pretty good. But I think to bump it up, an interesting thing actually happened with this channel last week. I decided to do these quick and dirty vertical lives, right? More sexual innuendos. So I did these vertical lives, and I get 1,000 people on, 500 people on, just on average. Hey, Sin City, how you doing? How's it going? Good to have you on here. We're talking about environment. So if you've been on the shredding videos, I'm not shredding. I'm talking about studio environment. Well, it's possible, but then I'm in such a niche, isn't it? It's quite difficult, but it could be something that happens. I mean, to be honest, Enzo, you don't have to be a top YouTuber. You see, I mean, I run an okay business just off running this channel the way it is. I get like plenty of one-to-one coaching clients like coming through. The group things tailed off quite a bit, but the people coming in on individual basis is quite good. But either way, it's more than possible. But the thing is, you just got to get yourself in front of a camera, and that is quite daunting, isn't it? When you think about all the skills that you have to have. And I absolutely love YouTube because it absolutely keeps me on my toes. When I was producing, a lot of music, that was great, but I can do that now. And that skill is there, and it's now something to like basically share with everybody else, isn't it? But then when you're talking about getting into guitar playing, well, there's something you've got to be on your top game, being able to shred at the drop of a hat, and being able to do it live in front of people. That's why I love the lives, because every live I play, every live I do, my wins, problems, opportunities. Anybody here who wants to know more about wins, problems, opportunities, there is now a very short video content about wins, problems, opportunities. So if you want to get good at anything, do your wins, problems, and opportunities. But like, I just review every session, make an action plan, and then start kind of doing it, That's what I do. You clean your guitar and changing strings right now. I'm using steel wool on my frets to polish them. Very good. No, we're not. But it's something to do. It's something that I'm quite interested in, and I'm enjoying sort of doing it. So that's why I'm doing like lots of shorts. And it's all just an experiment, because you don't really know how what is going. Well, you do actually know what's going to work in a way, because now I've done the YouTube shorts, and like lots of people have come on those, and I think there's something very real and gritty about it that people are like bad quality sound, bad quality everything, and I think there's something going on there. So what I'll be doing is I'll be chopping those up into shorts as well, and then just firing those off and seeing how they land. So I'll have a mixture of a lot of shorts. I'll have these high quality shorts where I'm wearing different shirts, which I've got another 3 on the way here actually, which I'm looking forward to. And then actually, where are those shirts that I ordered anyway? So I've got all those like high quality lives. Some of them zoomed in on the guitar. Some of them are like the full version of me, looking a bit weird when I play, but I don't care. And then we've got the bad quality audio ones as well, where there's loads of room noise and my fan running in the background, and my missus like snoring on the settee because she's done meditation and fallen asleep. That actually happened twice last week, so that's too real, isn't it? She fell asleep, and if you'd hear quietly, there was this. There's like Darth Vader in the background, and then she ended up on the settee here, and I was just covering her up. She was which is like completely out of it on the live stream. It's like sometimes we're both actually, when I'm doing those lives, we're both in the studio here, and she's doing a book. Hi Galactic, how you doing? Right, we are going to arrange a meeting, and I will message you and let you know. Right, okay, cool. And then what else are we doing? That's it. Let's have a look at some environment stuff. Are you using a notebook to track your wins, problems, opportunities, or making notes on laptop? I do them in a notebook. I do them in a notebook because what I'll do is I do them so quick, I do them freehand. So actually there's a few ways I do it. So notebook I really like, so straight after the stream, wins, problems, opportunities, and I know what I'm doing. Other times I'll have a discussion with AI and do my wins, problems, and opportunities, and then get it to pull it out to highlight after I just randomly talk into it. So you can use ChatGPT, or Claude's really good. I really like Claude for this. I just talk to Claude, and then it'll pull out the main themes, and then I just then coach myself on those. Pick the ones that I'm most likely to do and do them. When you learn music, in fact, actually, there's a Rick Beato, Steve Vai, and Jose Atrani. Steve Vai talks about this. When it comes to learning guitar or practicing, it's usually about getting good. The way that he made progress was doing something that he was interested in and not trying to be like something else. So you're always in this exploration mode. Again, it's discovery, isn't it? This is the main theme that we see across all of these top artists. So it's always been the same thing with me. So I get really, really interested. Claude, it's spelled Claude. It's another AI program. It's just similar to ChatGPT, but I think it's a little bit more coachy friendly. I like its style. It feels less like AI and more like a human. But I think AI, kind of chat's sort of caught up to it. I've actually got but the free version's really good. You can do all the free stuff on that on the free one. But I actually bought the ChatGPT because I use it more for the YouTube channel and stuff. And yeah, try it. So you do your wins, problems, but honestly, if you're going to do anything, wins, problems, and opportunities, kind of coaching yourself on AI is brilliant, because all you have to do, right, is you just have to know what you want to do next, right, and then you're more likely to do it. If you start trying to think of things, right, that you should be doing, right, and then trying to do them, the chances are you'll fall off and it'll become really, really difficult. Like, I just don't get now that dedicated practice sessions where you force yourself to do your scales and you force yourself to do all these things, right, mechanic stuff that you think you should be doing as a practice regime, and it's just painful, whereas like just exploring something like, all right, I'm really into the so I've had things like I'm back into the Tim Miller 212 arpeggios, with the weird sort of hybrid picking thing, and I just I'm into that. I cannot wait. I'm like, oh God, I'm doing a coaching stream now. I can't wait to pick the guitar up and start doing that and start practicing it. So I'm probably very likely going to get so excited when I come in from work. I'm going to live stream, probably practicing and trying to fit it into solos and stuff. That's what I want to do. Because I'm also really into the, immediate live application of these things. As soon as I learn them, I want to know, right, this thing's so cool. How am I actually going to use it in a musical way? And I just want to get the thing in there. And that's what I do. And like when I talk about it, I'm excited. Yeah, really excited. But that's all we're doing. I mean, for me, my whole thing is like improvisation, and it's like trying to cast the net like wide, and it's really interesting because when you're playing live and you're playing in front of people, there's that kind of resistance to like really go wild and do things where you're going to make mistakes and accidents. So you like to keep it safe, isn't it? And then just slightly pushing the envelopes and it can be a slow process, and the only way around that is to do as much of it as you possibly can. If you're a professional performer or something like that, you'd be doing this like the jazz guys back in the 1930s, 40s, whatever. they're playing every night. They're doing several gigs and improvisation like every night, aren't they? Under pressure, and you're gonna learn quick. You're gonna quickly, you know, if they're doing 3 performances, or 2 performances every day, you're gonna do 1 performance. You're gonna play, right, aren't you? Review. And then you've got your second performance, play, review, third, play, review, and your progress is going to be rapid. And this is why those guys get really, really good. And then basically you wake up the next day and you're doing the same thing, and you're doing that till you get a day off. And to me, that whole thing is fascinating. So the backing tracks going live is definitely something that improves massively, especially with key and chord changes. Yeah. Which I just avoid. Right, let's have a look at what's going on here. I think I'll go for this view today. What do you reckon? We'll do, won't it? All right. Can we see? Yes, we can. Right, now, what are the first things? So, I've taken the racks out, and the reason I've taken the racks out, right, is because, in my humble opinion, it's not the most efficient way, unless you've got EXO, right? It's not like the most efficient way to be programming drums, right? The best way to program drums, I find, is if we take a load of MIDI tracks, right? And we'll colour them in. We'll have kick, snare, another perk one. In fact, we'll not worry about that. We'll just do these 4 basic things, right? All right. Just hide all the confusing stuff. We can see all right, can't we? All right. I'll move the chat round. Hey, there's Way Cool Junior. How you doing? Took a break from listening to your Spotify, rolling with these 18 wheels, watching your live stream. Cool. Just anybody who's on here, please do subscribe to the channel. Right, so now what we can do is we can start adding some stuff to this. Right, now I think for speed we'll just use McRocklin Hutch sample pack, because it's just there and it's quick. Now I've got blank. So these, all at the minute, these channels are blank. We've got no effects on them, all right? So we're going to quickly add these on. So the first thing I'm going to do, oh, we need a clap as well. Clap. So it helps if you've got your favourite samples in one place. I don't really do this. I tend to just kind of have one kit and go with consistency and slightly modify it over time. But there's one cool thing that we'll do, and I did touch on this last stream. We'll stick the modern one in. Okay, and we get a snare. Let's get that. It's absolutely massive, that thing. Very deep. We'll get a clap. I like those quacky, funny DMX drum machine claps. See if I've got one. There we go. Hi-hats. So it's quick when you've sort of like got this sort of thing going. So hi-hats. I like an 808. That counts as synthwave because, you know, 808 was in the 80s, I believe. And then we'll have... I'm going to count that as an open hi-hat. And there we go. So, on this channel, we're going to build a channel strip. And what we're going to have is... we need to do some gain staging. Now, what I found that it's always worked in the past is to get a utility plugin. All right, and this one's set to automatically -6, which I think is a good number. And let's just put a kick pattern in. Just guessing here, right, and then we've got... Now, you've got two choices here. You can either have your kick drum like that with 16th notes, or you can control the length. I quite like to do it this way and then control it here, but it all depends. So that's our first thing, utility plugin, and we can just drop that on every channel, right, that we've got so far. I'm going to drop every channel down to -6, like that. So that's the first thing. Any questions, just say in the chat and I will answer them. The next point of attack here will be the EQ8. Now, we're going to set up some EQ points, right, which will just sort of stay set up basically in your template, so you've kind of got them there. Now, what we can have here is, I think for the kick, I don't like to use, I don't always use on the kick an actual filter. I tend to go for just a shelving. But what we can do, put it somewhere else. That's on there, isn't it? All right. So what we can do is I'll just expand it and then we can see. There's the fundamental. I'll take this down a bit. And then we can bring a boost in. And then after the boost, I'll do a tiny little cut. Now, if you want sort of more attack on the kick, what we can do there is we can bring in another point. So here we've got 5. Now, and then we can take some of the air out. So that's just to let hi-hats breathe. And these are all pretty universal for any sort of kick, really. And then 6, we can take out. And that's what we've got. Now you can leave it off. Or you can have it switched on. But what happens is I tend to find all of these EQ curves are basically in the right ballpark for whatever kicks. If I switch this kick, I'd be able to just use these EQ points to then quickly just get that kick sounding good. Or you can just have it switched off and leave it kind of ready there. But the thing is obviously the Ableton Live EQ, you can do this because it is super, super efficient. Now your snare, you can do the same thing. Let's get a snare out. I mean, the interesting thing about kicks as well, depending on what you're doing, is you may want to just take this tail down. And you can have a shorter but more bassier kick that way, and it's not really going to clash with anything. So that's the top tip, that one. All right, snare. We can just get a snare. So we've got one here. And so, like, obviously this needs a bit of work. I think for these snares, what we could do is you can just use... So we can either have it lengthened out, or we can just have one shot mode and control it. And then we've got plenty of sort of length there that we can add in. And again, similar sort of thing here, except we're going to cut all of that stuff off. Now we'll put 2 there on the fundamental in case we need it. Do a little dip after it. And again, we'll probably put in just a little bit of something over here. So you can just pull out some frequencies, you know, broadband that you don't like. And again, that's it. It's a bit like getting a camera and focusing in on the image, isn't it? It's just way more balanced. Also, you notice the gain staging, that the kick is nicely at -12. Our snare is at 11. But because what we can do is we can keep the fader up at the top, so we have more resolution. So if you're using your push and things like that, you're not really finding like that you have to do tiny little movements on the controller to get the sound that you want. So because we have more room here, you see. Clap. Stick that in. And you'll find that these just work with whatever you're doing. Right, that's pretty good. So again, we'll just filter off, take all the crap out. No, we don't want to get this filter and then totally right. Hold on a minute. Right, okay. So sounding good so far. And then I think that's it for our claps. We've got the usual points in here on Ableton. There's nothing else that's really a lot. I mean, you don't have to... I find that like kicks and the snares, I tend to have to shape a little bit with EQ to get them to where I want. And then we've got the hi-hats, so we'll stick in 16s. Now, a cool tip here is actually if we just switch to 30-second notes and we do that, there's a couple of things we can do. We can, tip one is we can create our own swing, all right? So if I'm going to loop just this bit here, right? And I can just get these. So that's how we can create sort of swing, just moving notes about, which is very handy. Another way I do it is this. So this is from my dance production days, right? I simply just let's see if it's about handy. In the groove pool down here, I've got 16th swing, and I'll just drop that on the hi-hats. And that just gives me enough movement, really. In fact, that's very swingy, that one. We need to change it, man. Let's change it to... Right, we need logic. Logic 52. There you go. And again, we've got most of our gain staging, so we can just bring the levels down a bit. Right, and then finally we just got our last hi-hat. I'll do this. So the reason we did 30-second notes is so we can see we've got room to move our notes about. The other thing you might want to do is you can create groove just by moving the velocities as well. So that's a great way to just set up quick 16s. So if you hear that. And all you're doing is just fiddle with the notes till you feel your head moving, and that's it. That's your groove. It's like really as simple as that. So this is a good hi-hat sound which I use on loads of tracks, and this one we'll get our EQ8 on. EQ8, and so you got to watch it with hi-hats, because what you'll have is a lot of crap down in the low end, so that we don't need. So that you can hear that sound. So we can just take a little bit out just like that. And then, listen guys, I'm just going to quickly take this call, it won't be long. I'm back. Okay, anybody watching this? Alright. Alright, who's following along? Say something in the chat. It's very, very lonely here. Alright. So that was just the missus ringing from a hospital bed, and she wants me to bring this clock for her to keep her on track. So she must be doing creative sprints. Right. And that's my hi-hat done. And again, gain staged, keeping the faders up at the top. Right, so far so good. And then the other thing we want to do is obviously we've got our synths and things like that. I don't know why that bass hasn't got something on it. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so. All right, that was from what we did. All right, let's get on to some creative stuff, right? Now, the first thing I'm going to show you, I think it's paid for. If not, it's like literally $5 or something like that, like next to nothing, right? And then this is a wow, Enzo. Yeah. Second friend in a week in major hospital visits. Crazy, isn't it? Right, okay, let's go for the Max for Live stuff. So what we've got here is so if you search this up, it's called Essentials. And I think it's by Elephant, okay? Max for Live Elephant. And in this essential thing, you get color, exciter, filter, shift, widen. That's the first thing. But the first plugin, these are free, but the plugin we're going to quickly have a look at now is this GM Clipper. So first thing, for a clipper, it's got very, very low latency. So when I'm hovering on this, you can see down at the bottom here, we've got 14 samples, right? And I'm going to start putting this on my live stream as well, because what we can do is, there is another page on here, if I can get to it. There's actually a brick wall limiter, which you can switch on. And again, it only adds another 2 samples. So it's incredibly fast. The cool thing about this is it allows you to hear the delta. So I'm just going to make sure all of my drums so far actually go into this. In fact, actually, before we do that, we need to make a drum bus. So I'm going to group them together. And we'll call this drums. Makes things a lot easier because you can just fold things away. The other reason I like to use like drums this way is because we can see every single drum we're using, all of the kit as separate channels, and it's really fast to arrange stuff like this, and you can do quite intricate things. I'll just fold these as well. All right, so now we can send this to our mix bus, and then on the mix bus, when we run the drums, so I can solo this and we can listen to the alpha. Now, obviously, if you start pulling this down and you're getting into the body, that's all just going to distort and sound absolute crap. But what we want to do is just shave off some of the transients. And this way, we're going to get a louder mix. We can turn everything up. So I am getting -2 dBs gain reduction there. which is cool. Another little thing I'll show you is, I don't know if you've ever seen this rolling sampler. So this is the other thing that's on my master. So I can get that, and I can just select a portion of whatever audio and just drag it, and it's in there. I can just sample things that are in the project without the warp on. There we go. So that's really handy. All right. So that just runs in the background. Ban. All right, there you go. Gone. All right. So that's the first thing. The clipper, really good. Use that. It's as good as any sort of like Kazrock or anything like that. It's had an update which has really made it good. And we can see here actually that when we're playing those drums, that we're running at -11, which is great. That's about where I want to be. -12 preferably, but -11 is pretty good. I could even reduce that further just by pulling the ceiling down. Probably wouldn't be able to hear much difference. Right, okay. Let's go for these. These 5 up here. So the first thing, what we're going to do is I'm going to pull from a previous template that I have, and we're going to put some. We're going to add in another track. So I like to introduce to my music a lot of noise and weird sort of ambient loops in the background. Okay, so I have a dedicated channel for this. So if we go here, Ableton Studio, and this is stuff that have been in my project for like forever, since the beginning of McRocklin Hutch in my dance music, but particularly in synthwave. So I'm going to pull this track in, and it's called Texture, and this is really important because this is where I get a lot of my inspiration from. Now, before what I'm going to do is I'll just duplicate this a second, because this is important. I need those things. Because we're going to have a look at those too. So we'll pick a texture. So I've got some textures here, quick access to them, because I'll use them on a live. Right, so I really like that. It's very sort of moody. I'm going to drop that in there. I'll just take that out for now. So here we have texture, and so there's a couple of ways you can actually approach this, right? So the first way is, in fact, the first way is you can. I'll just ignore these two things here for now, right? Just need to make sure that's right. So the first way, perfectly fine, is you can use an EQ, and we can run this. Now you can hear it's full frequency range, this, and it's, come on, everything trigger at the same time, please. Right. So we've got a lot of bass in there, but I may just want that amount of the sound, yeah? So you can get in and sort of EQ it like that. We'll just reset. So that's the first thing. Or we can use this filter. So this filter, dead simple, it's got a high pass and a low pass fitted. And that's it, that's your high pass and low pass filtering done. So I really like the sound of that. Now, for this little loop here, I'm just gonna take that much. So it gives you something to sort of play along to, doesn't it? Next thing we're gonna do a little upgrade on our SH101. Well, we'll get some bass in, right? So we've got something to listen to. Well, let's have a go. What key was that in? B flat minor. Move it down, it's an A minor now, if this is right. Right. Bass line. And we'll duplicate that. Passionate. Hi Maddie, how you doing? Right. So let's say want to get a little bit more bite out of this bass. We've got colour. So with the colour again free, you've got different things we can add. So we can have tape, tube, valve, diode's quite good. Too much. That's quite nice there. And remember, we've got our side chain set up, so we can just drop that on there for the kick, and that should work straight away. Let's have a look. There we go. No, I'm in Matty. I'm based in Newcastle upon Tyne. So if it's your first time on here, today I'm doing like a bit of studio production stuff. Oh shit, I'm not on here, am I? I'm doing studio production stuff. Other times I'm shredding on guitar, and there'll be probably another live today, tomorrow morning, where I'm doing that. So sorry everybody, I didn't. Just right. So we've got color diode, sounds good. And maybe we could add low light and whiskey. Yeah, that's exactly the perfect studio environment. So this is a bit of a series of stuff that we're doing every Monday, Maddie. So it's just about kind of having just all the tools at hand that you use and not having anything around you that you don't use. So I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but like this is fairly functional. I've got 4 guitars in here, but that's because like I'm endorsed by Kiesel Guitars, so I need to have all my guitars on display and be using them and what have you. But apart from that, like everything in here I use. There's nothing here that I don't use. So really, today's studio environment really is about the digital environment. Yeah, thanks. So this bass is like, it's an SH101, and I really like it by Tal. Now, what I really like about this is that it's very easy for me to use. I basically have one preset dialed in, and I'll come back to it and I'll show you what I do, right? But like if I just get, say, like we'll make like a little arpeggio thing up, right? Let's draw the notes in today. Just guess. See what happens. All right. So I'm just listening to the music, and this is this SH101 ARP, and I can just start kind of massaging it with these simple sliders, because you can see exactly what you're doing, and sort of get it into some decent shape. So let's have a listen. Right, so I didn't flick through any presets, right? And I just musically just morphed that to fit with what I can hear. Cool, isn't it? All right, we'll get, let's get this bass line. We'll just make some chords up, right? So this is just, again, a Juno patch, and I just use the same patch, and we'll just harmonize this. What key are we in? A minor, isn't it? Let's get that off. So I really like that with that. Right, so that C major chord, we're going to extend it. So make it a C major 7, put that as the 9th. We'll have our 3rd there, maybe drop the 5th down. What's this? D minor 7. Really don't want that F there. We could move into E minor here and just use the F sharp. That gives us a really crap chord. Right, that'll do. So again, you know, some rough, when you're doing your chords, you can just do some rough EQ in here. And just take some of the mids out. Get a bit of air in there, let's all listen. Okay, and then finally, for our free plugin, we can get the exciter. We'll just drop this on here, and we can add a little bit of... So that nicely wakes it up. But the other thing I want to show you is this widener. So what we can have is we can turn this up. In fact, I'll take the exciter off now because I've got a different idea what to do for that. So that's it fully cranked. Now I really like that because when you crank it up, it doesn't completely go out of phase and sound terrible. And it collapses into mono okay. You hear that? You can collapse it, you can check it in mono. So we've still got plenty of compatibility there, but it's actually nicely moved it to the sides and it's dipped the middles out a bit, which means that it's not stepping on the bass, right? So, hi Lucifer, how you doing? So that's not on. That's with our width. Alright, so those are some sexy music sticks. Thank you. Right. Okay, so moving on. So I'll just pull some things that I think are very, very handy in my other template. Now I'm just going to move this to here, right? All right. So this is the cool thing because from an arrange point of view, we can see all of our drums quite clearly. Now, I'm now going to just go to my previous template, and this is a bit like, here's one I did earlier. Oh, here's another really cool Max for Live device. Pomodoro. So I've got a Pomodoro timer there. So that's handy, isn't it? Start working. I'll just set it off. We can have it floating up there. Right. Again, I think that's a free Max for Live plugin, the Pomodoro timer. Okay, just check the chart. All right. So there's a couple of things that I really have to have in my project. Okay, Pomodoro timer. So it times me 25 minutes. I work really, really hard, and then it stops and have a 5-minute break, and then I put the Pomodoro timer on it. It times me. So I just, that's why I use it. So these are, you can get them free. So Pomodoro timer Max, that'll get you there. The essentials you can get as well if you just do a search for them. If not, I'll give a link. I'll send a link out on Discord when I get in tonight, is what I'll do. Right, so there's a couple of things in here. One is length. So length is just basically, if we're bouncing stuff out, this is I got this tip off Andrew Wang, one of his YouTube vids. We can just use this to put it to length, and it's just a bit easier. Because what you can do is you can set that to there, and then you can do Command L, and then that gets you like your song. Anyway, it is easier. Is the point. Arrangement. So really, ideally, we want to start things kind of here, 2 bars in, so we don't cut anything off at the beginning. So yeah, again, just bang like that, and you're done. Tell you what, we'll assume this is maybe a chorus or something. There we go. Right. So we've got length, arrangement, not in use. This is cool, right? Because not in use, we can have here, and it's simply, all I do is it's just basically a folder made in Live. And let's say I wasn't using my kick anymore, right? Or a sound that I don't use anymore. I can just drop it in not in use. And it's still there, but it's muted off. You can't hear it. So that's quite a handy thing to have. When you find you're not using a lot of stuff for a while, but you might be using it, then you can put it there. So I'll load in my usual standard sounds. So this is a bit like, here's one I did earlier. So ride, shimmer, crash. So these are all fairly essential stuff. Here's my crash channel, which I've now got as MIDI. And that's going to be, and I think these are all set up. There you go. So that's there. We've got the ride over here, which I like to kind of stick on everything. Like that. We'll stick that in. Nice ride bell. Lengthen that out. Loops. I prefer that purple colour for me. Let's go. Yeah, just watch it back. There's a bit where I forgot to put the thing on, but there's some free Max for Live stuff. So, right, we're building our drums up, and then a couple of things I really like are loops and interest. Now, interest is interesting because this is like, we're getting into paid stuff here, but I do like arcade for inspiration. I love these things. It's a bit like having a band member in with you. So whenever I need a little bit of interest in my drums, I use this, and it's a great. We'll see if we can bang something in. Oh, that's a crash in it. Where's interest? Here's interest. So I'll just take something and we'll have a listen. So something like that 16th thing, although it's like sloppy as hell, will add a bit of interest to that. And again, because on interest, I've got my EQ set up. We can do that. And we've got a bit of depth, haven't we? Very easy to do when you've got, when you're using Ableton plugins. And adding these layers, this is how you sort of get your things to sound like proper tracks, basically. Loops are cool. There's nothing wrong with using loops. Loops are just brilliant. So there was, I wonder if it's synced up. I found a really good sample pack yesterday. Called Pop Wave. Where are you? I think this must have been it. But there were some cool things I quite liked. But not the musical stuff. So that's all like music, drum kits and loops. Nice kick that. Right, we'll just try this, okay? Now, there's loads of things I like about this loop, and there's lots of things I can't be arsed with. So, what we can do is, I'll just narrow this down to 1 bar. And we'll get to our envelopes, and we're on our gain. Get a pencil tool. I'll just take out the stuff I don't want. I'm just literally guessing here, to be fair. So just like that, do is great to me. Everything else I've chopped out. So let's have a listen to that. There you go. And we can take that little hi-hat bit out. Now, in my tech house days, this is what I do. I'd just go boom like that. And just be brutal on the EQ. And then you're just bringing out what you want to hear. And you can just hear, just by adding the layers, how cool we can just get our drums to sound. It's awesome, isn't it? Okay, here's another free plugin. Baby Audio. Pitch drift. So pitch drift is an important plugin because, I mean, I like that wonky sort of vaporwave sound, and it'll sound, and I'll put this on pads. You know, that sound VHS kind of knackered. We can do that. We can add that in. Right on. Right, there we go. So this is why we can do... It's handy to have all of your drums like this on the range, because I can just mute things off. And easily build things up, you know. Structure's totally wrong. So, you know, we're building a backing track in a very short amount of time. So I quite like that out. Juno in. Maybe add in. I definitely want our interest can stay in. Right, okay. Right. I'm just going to try a little mini breakdown. Getting that right, it's a bit woof in the low end. All right, and we've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to do one more thing. Right, right, and that is we're going to have the all channel, the everything channel. Everything goes onto basically here, and it's a bus, and I actually have some pre-made sort of effects, and what these do is they affect absolutely everything in this project. So we've got, instead of that going to the bus, that's going to go to everything. That's all of my drums going to everything. And then I want all of my instruments, apart from my voice, also go to everything. And then everything goes to the mix bus. Okay, we've got a straggler. Oh yeah, that's because of these. Drums. Boom. Right, we're silent there. That's a good sign. Alright, so on here, one of the tricks I love doing, you look at the automation, is having the cool sort of kill switch. So if you listen to this, and it's absolutely annihilated everything. Right, hold on. Fade away is there. Oh. Wrong thing. Here we go. That's what I want. Off. On. There you go. We'll see what this washout effect does. Maybe take the kick out a bit. And the other thing is we can take the side chain off. And it's back on again. Slight tweak with the bass, and there you go. Oh. Okay, so that's where we're up to. We're going to continue with this next week, and we're going to concentrate on more of the music channels, the melodic elements, such as more sort of bass, synths, and other sort of magic ingredients that I use to kind of make music. So, there we go. Hope you like that. Weirdly enough, the top of my head seems to be a bit cut off on here, doesn't it? Right, so any quick questions from anybody? Has everybody enjoyed today? So expect some random guitar lives as well, because they've been going really well. For some reason, if I just use my mobile phone, like, everybody's interested. So tonight when I get in from work, I'm probably going to do a quick, half an hour session before I go to bed. And I can tell you what it'll be. It'll be guitar backing tracks. And what I do is I put all of these into the members area, so you can become a member. And what I need to do is I need to link out that, like, the Patreon. If you've got on the Patreon, I'm going to work out how you can get access to these videos. So these videos that I'm doing just on my mobile phone, they'll be for the paid Patreon members. And also, if you just want to pay for the bit, that members bit, that's what you can expect, these like funny live sessions. But they're quite good because I'll start showing you things that I'm doing, so it's very sort of informative. Right, so we're going to go over this again, Enzo. So next Monday we're going to do some more, and then I'll break it down again, right? Because everything we're doing here, we're using. Now, this is very much based around my style, and the only way that you're actually going to get the same efficiency as what I'm doing here is because I've practiced this DAW like an instrument. I know it inside out. For synthwave, I just know where everything goes. Okay, and actually I can produce any sort of electronic music on this template because it's very similar to my dance days. By doing it this way, these have been the most efficient ways that I've actually found to do something. There's still limitations and things like that, but I must admit, actually, just using Ableton plugins is very liberating. I'm really liking the sound that I'm getting. And what's going to get interesting with this template is like how we can use other like cheaper third-party plugins with this, you know, or maybe one subscription or something like that. But we'll discuss this later, and we'll decide as a group what could be that potential subscription to add into this, because like I use all of them. But having said that, I'm quite happy with, you know, it's not bad, you know. Bass is a bit dull and blah, but it's good. The sound fits, it works. That's just a mix problem. It's not because like, oh, I need another bass. I just need to like do a few cuts to it and make it sound nice. That's it, you know. I mean, there are some essential plugins that I would consider that people should have, and that's definitely the Valhalla stuff. You know, Valhalla, saying that they've got some great free things as well, but certainly the delay and the retro reverb one is absolutely brilliant. You know, that's like everything, just right there. But we can have a look at reverbs and stuff like that, because obviously the Ableton stuff is okay, but doesn't quite get me there. So we can look at that. All right, and hopefully when I get a chance, I'll post some links to these, the Max for Live stuff. But basically, I've been using Max for Live. I've been using Max for Live Essentials, and if you go to, I think it's Elephant and Gumroad, and there's another site, Elephant, and you just do a search for Max for Live, and that'll get you there, and you'll see all the Max for Live stuff. And that's free, so that's great. Time to go to the hospital. Right. And I'll see everybody maybe this evening when I get in. All right then. Bye for now.